My life was really, from early age, very dysfunctional.
When I grew up, I grew up with my mother and father. They're actually not married.
My father and my mother got married at a very young age.
My parents both worked.
My dad's absence and my mother's activities, there was a little bit of enmity between the both of them.
I was off by myself a lot.
I would see a lot of parties going on. I'd see a lot of fighting in my earlier years.
My mom, she was kind of in a separate lifestyle.
Like I said, my father and my mother got a divorce.
She wasn't home very often, and when she was, she'd be drunk.
It was just brutal, the relationship that they had with one another, so it was difficult for me to see that.
I wanted to spend a lot of time with my father.
My father was a very work-oriented man.
And I can remember him still this very day always telling me, stop hovering.
My mother, at one point, told me that nobody knew our last name until you were born.
At home, there was a lot of crap going on that I didn't want to be part of, and so I found sanctuary with these guys that like to party.
I was brought up without God in my life.
I had that innate belief or feeling that something was there and that something higher and, more powerful than me existed.
I always thought something was there, but I never really sought after it.
So I knew God from an early age, yet it was just something to do because that's what was expected in the family.
I needed affirmation, whether it was good or bad.
I was still kind of searching for what made me feel whole.
I just wanted to fit in.
Little did I know that I was empty inside the whole time.
I became, the jock, in high school, and that's where I got my affirmation.
I wanted to be loved by people. I thought that my personality was a little bit dull.
As I got into my teen years, I got involved with a criminal element.
In the off season, I would smoke weed like every day.
I was partying, experimenting, with everything.
It just progressed.
I tried opiates, in high school.
Went to juvenile programs from the age of 13 all the way up until 18.
I went to prison for the first time when I was 18.
I started working, and that was my main focus.
I can work 90 hours a week. I deserve that drink when I come home at night. I deserve to smoke that joint, take those pills.
I continued using and developed a habit, and then, went on to, like I said, prison.
I control weed. I don't need to smoke this. I just do it because I'm bored.
Went from pot to alcohol to cocaine came in there.
It was under control. At least I thought. I didn't know what kind of monster I was creating. I had no idea.
It was just carrying into work. It was carrying into my relationship.
When I started taking pills, and then I felt the high that I was, I felt that false affirmation that I was always seeking, by that artificial feeling that I had inside of me. I just fell in love.
It got more and more, and the drugs became more and more severe and potent.
I didn't know what I was searching for at that point.
I thought that I would find something that I was looking for in those activities and through those people.
Within a matter of moments, it seemed like, even though it was years, I just went downhill.
In living that kind of a life, you don't see beyond it.
I was using so much.
You really allow yourself to lie to yourself.
Now this thing's got a hold of me. My sins really got me, and I can't stop.
The only thing I could do is to use to feel normal.
I'm lying about what I'm doing, and I'm stealing to get these drugs.
You will do anything to feel normal.
Now I'm like in a vacuum or a black hole. I can't get out of it. I can't stop drinking. I can't stop using cocaine.
Got a DUI. I flipped over a vehicle. I should have died from at the age of 20.
I was a complete wreck. I knew that I was going to end up dead.
I had no money in the bank because I was just spending $150 to $200 a night sitting in my basement alone, worried about where the next rock was and sniffing the next line to put me to sleep.
I didn't want to get high anymore. I couldn't stop it though.
We were always like brothers growing up, my cousin and I.
I came home from work, everything was fine. I had just picked up.
I had to go to an outpatient program.
I walked into a room of my family. It was an intervention.
We used that night. I drove him home, I dropped him off. I remember seeing him walk into the house. He actually gave me a hug before he walked into the house.
About a week into it, my mother got a brain aneurysm, and she died within a day.
Went home, I fell asleep, woke up in the morning for work, and next thing I know, my father called me up screaming, telling me that AJ was dead, AJ was dead.
I began to reflect on my life.
I swore that I wouldn't use anymore and that I was going to do the right thing.
What I saw I didn't like. I saw like a junkyard.
This is it for me. I said AJ's death is just, too overwhelming to just pass that up and continue going down the path that I'm going down.
It only took a matter of 4 days for me to be sneaking into my stepfather's painkillers and stealing quarters to walk to the liquor store down the street.
I turned and went to turn and walk away, and my boss was there.
I couldn't break the cycle. I was working 2 jobs, coming home at night, drinking myself to sleep.
I had to surrender. I said, I can't do this anymore.
Everybody wrote a letter basically begging me to come here to TLC.
I went to my mother's house and I'd gotten a hold of the pastor of my church and he directed me to TLC.
He had encouraged me to come down to TLC. He says, Tony, you got to stop listening to yourself and listen to the people that love you.
I met a man by the name of Owen Kelly. He told me all about Transformation Life Center.
I fought to the death. I did not want to come here.
I looked at the TLC program online at my sister's before I decided to call Owen, and I said, no way. 6 months, no way. No tobacco, no way. No women, no way. What's the Bible going to do for me?
I say I was saved. I truly was saved from death.
I decided to really just put my hands up and just say, listen, I can't do this anymore. You have to do this for me. You have to do this in me. Give me the strength to do this.
I came here, I wasn't able to pay, and it's through the people that have donated to this ministry to help a guy like myself to be able to stay here.
From that day, I even get goosebumps when I talk about it because, it's still so real even today.
I know that because he made me to be somebody better than I thought I could ever be.
I'm able to express things. People are expressing back to me the same things that we experience, and it's encouraging to know that, I'm not alone in this fight.
I started dealing with the root problems. I started dealing with my affirmation problems. Instead of dealing with drugs and alcohol as being the ultimate problem, because it wasn't.
Now I find myself understanding God's word.
But now I've begun to walk with the Lord again.
There was a transformation of that inner heart attitude that I never knew before.
When God puts a calling on your heart, you kind of are led through the Spirit where to go.
God has called me to be a husband.
I have this desire in my heart for young people.
God has called me to be a hardworking man every day.
Through the Overcomers meeting, we'll go out and we'll help, whoever needs help as far as anyone that's struggling, addicts that are struggling.
God has called me to be a leader.
Because I've made these bad decisions, because I've went away and I had to serve time, I just feel that I can tell and talk to the younger people.
God has called me to serve Him.
We have Faith in Action Days. We go out and we serve the community.
To worship Him, to love Him with all my heart, my mind, my soul, my strength.
I cannot, and this is so important for me, and this is real talk, man. I cannot go to bed and wake up the same person I was the day before.
I do experience peace. The peace, and I know that peace doesn't come from myself, and I know it comes from God.
And because of that, I desire to go beyond the call for Him, for His glory.
I'm confident that the Lord is in me and that He's called me for something greater than I've ever experienced, something greater than I've ever known.
For my wife, for my family.
I truly want to help people find Christ.
For my friends, for my church.
I feel like God has absolutely turned my life upside down, transformed me from the inside out.
For those I don't know.
I've learned that, the circumstances are going to change, and I don't have to change with them. All I have to do is look beyond these circumstances, and I've learned to do that while I'm here.
For the next man in TLC.
I'm just grateful to be able to walk out the calling that Christ has in my life.
for the man that I'm accountable to,
I definitely believe I'm called.
the men that are accountable to me.
Now I have the opportunity to bless someone else and possibly plant a seed that will eventually might transform their way of thinking or eventually their world.
God has called me to serve Him, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
I know that God has put a call in my life, and I look forward to continuing the journey and going beyond the call.
In Him I am fulfilled.